IMBIBITOR LUNAE is insanely strong. One of the reasons why is how high his damage multipliers are compared to other hypercarries. In this video, we'll discuss his kit, his relic sets, his best team, and the fact that he is imaginary, all of which makes him the best hypercarry in the game for now. He also has some severe drawbacks and will cover how to overcome the weaknesses he has. First of all, let's start with his kit. He has a basic attack that can be enhanced up to 3 times with his skill. Each enhancement consumes 1 skill point. When enhanced once, he will deal higher single target damage. When enhanced twice or 3 times, he will deal even higher single target damage as well as some damage to adjacent enemies. When enhanced 3 times though, his single target damage is higher than Zila's ultimate. What this means is that IMBIBITOR LUNAE can deal a lot of damage, much more damage than Zila's ultimate, but instead of every ultimate, it's every turn. Not only that, his third enhanced attack will deplete a lot of toughness to the enemy. What this means is that he will be able to imprison enemies quickly by breaking them, and this will come into play with his relic set and survivability. One of the main reasons Zila is so good is because she can increase her own damage to 80% at level 10 with her own kit. Guess what? IMBIBITOR LUNAE does it too, but better. When he attacks, he unleashes a few hits. When he uses his basic attack, first enhanced attack, second enhanced attack, and third enhanced attack, he unleashes 2 hits, 3 hits, 5 hits, and 7 hits respectively. After every hit, he grants himself 1 stack of Righteous Heart, and each stack increases his damage by 10%. You can have a maximum of 6 stacks, and these stacks go away after the end of his turn. What this means is that if he uses his third enhanced basic attack, for example, he will get a 10% damage increase at the second hit, a 20% increase at the third hit, and so on, and finally a 60% damage increase at the 7th hit. Like Zila, he can also grant himself stacks of Outroar that increases crit damage by 12% per stack up to 4 stacks. Before every hit starting from the 4th attack, he grants himself 1 Outroar. This means that he will be able to trigger this buff when using his second or third basic attack. For example, when he uses his 7-hit third attack, he will get a 12% crit damage increase on his 4th hit, a 24% crit damage increase on his 5th hit, and so on, and finally a 48% crit damage increase on his 7th hit. Because of this, you can see how you want to always unleash his third enhanced basic attack for maximum damage with his insanely high damage multipliers and AoE damage, as well as getting the higher stacks of damage and crit damage increase. IMBIBITOR LUNAE's ultimate also deals a high damage of 300% attack and gives him 2 stacks of Squama Sacrosancta. These 2 stacks are basically substitute points that can be used instead of skill points to enhance his basic attack. Besides his ultimate, you can also get 1 Squama Sacrosancta at the start of the battle if you use his technique to hit an enemy. The next discussion is his relic set. His best relic set is definitely the imaginary set, Wastelander of Banditry Desert, that increases imaginary damage, crit rate when the enemy is debuffed, and crit damage if the enemy is imprisoned. Because the enemy has to be debuffed, his best teammate to do that is Silverwolf, because she can also attach imaginary weakness while applying huge defense shred. She also generally helps in breaking the enemies faster, which makes it easier to trigger imprisonment for the additional crit damage. Another teammate that can also inflict debuff consistently is Asta, because she can burn the enemies with her basic attack and at the same time increase some attack of IMBIBITOR LUNAE. One other solid option is also Pela, but we'll discuss this more in depth in the teammate section. An alternative to using 4-piece banditry is using 2-piece banditry and 2-piece musketeer, especially if you already have good substats with the musketeer pieces. For his planar ornament set, Rutilan Arena is obviously his best choice because his main source of damage is from his enhanced basic attack. For those of you that are thinking about pulling for more copies of him or his signature light cone, let's compare if you should get Aeon or his light cone. His light cone, Brighter Than the Sun, increases his crit rate by 18%, his energy regen by 12%, and his attack by 36% at Superimposition 1. The effects are undeniably strong, especially the energy regen part, and this is because you want his ultimate as fast as possible so that you can save skill points by getting the 2 stacks of Squama Sacrosancta. His ultimate also deals a lot of damage, but without this light cone and without any other energy sources, if he uses his third enhanced attack every turn, he will only get 125 energy after 3 turns, but his ultimate needs 140 energy, so 15 short. With the light cone though, he will be able to use his ultimate after 3 turns instead of 4, which makes it very strong besides the other good stats it already provides. Now let's consider the alternative light cone options for IMBIBITOR LUNAE. The free S5 on the fall of an Aeon light cone from the Herda store is also not bad, but based on my calculation, you will be able to deal 32% more damage with his signature light cone compared to on the fall of an Aeon. That is without calculating the crit rate difference. But one thing that is worth mentioning is that if you can somehow trigger the second effect of on the fall of an Aeon consistently and keep it at an 100% uptime, you can bridge the gap of the difference to 7%, but I think that this is not possible in most scenarios. The dilemma arises because his Eidolon 1 is just as strong. At E1, after every hit, he gains 2 stacks of Righteous Heart and increases the max stacks to 10. What this means is that his damage increase will stack up faster, making him deal more damage. If you're going for his E1 though, the drawback is that you'll need external energy sources to get his ult in 3 turns. One feasible way is to hope that he gets hit because he's a destruction character, but this is not a foolproof way to get ult every 3 turns. So another option is by getting characters that can provide energy regen, and one such character is Tingyun. With Tingyun and the right rotation, you can give IMBIBITOR LUNAE enough energy so he can ult every 3 turns. You already want to play Tingyun with him anyway because she is very skill point positive and he really needs skill points. So between his light cone and E1, which one should you go for? All in all, I think that his signature light cone is better than his E1, even though he has ways to deal with the drawbacks of his E1, simply because his signature light cone can provide a very huge damage increase compared to the F2P 5-star light cone from Herda store. It's also because the energy regen is just so good, because it allows him to be more flexible in terms of the skill point positive characters that he can play with, and because that crit rate increase is also very substantial. He does have his own shortcomings. His main drawback is that he is extremely skill point hungry, so you'll have to pair him with 3 skill point positive teammates. One possible combination is IMBIBITOR LUNAE himself, Silverwolf, Tingyun, and Luocha. All 3 skill point positive characters. You want Luocha, especially if he is using the banditry set to be able to imprison enemies more consistently for the extra crit damage. If you do not have Luocha, Gepard or Bailu are also good teammates. You can also use Natasha, but Natasha usually needs to use skill point to maintain your team, which means less skill points for IMBIBITOR LUNAE, which means less damage. IMBIBITOR LUNAE being imaginary and his ability to break the enemies relatively quickly can also help with his survivability, especially if you're using Natasha, because imprisonment slows and delays enemies' actions. If you do not have Silverwolf, as mentioned, Asta is a good substitute because she can be skill point positive and she can also trigger the burn debuff to activate the 4-piece effect on banditry. But Pela can be a better substitute with a 4-star Silverwolf light cone and energy regen rope, which makes her able to keep an 100% uptime on her ult, causing a high defense threat to trigger the banditry set every turn. In conclusion, IMBIBITOR LUNAE is just crazy in terms of damage. He is the best hyper carry with the highest damage potential from all the characters that are released right now, and he is definitely a worth to pull character if you need a DPS, and can definitely help you clear MOC more easily. But his drawback is that he needs a lot of skill points, and as such, team building is more restrictive to skill point positive characters, and coincidentally means using some of the best support characters in his team instead of your second team in MOC. But if you do not have 2 5-star defensive characters, the upcoming character Fu Xuan will definitely help you more in clearing MOC, so you'll definitely want to reconsider pulling for IMBIBITOR LUNAE if that's the case. That's all I have to deliver. Do ask questions if you're still uncertain about some scenarios. I'll make sure to get to them. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more guides.